Okay, and now on to our next movie, which also is Nick Cage's most recent movie, which is Pig. And that just came out this year in 2021. And it kind of follows the basic plot of John Wick, with a man losing his wife and turning to an animal, in this case a pig, as a means of comfort. And then losing this animal in a very tragic way, and then following Nick Cage's character, Rob's, journey on seeking revenge out against these perpetrators. That is where the two movies diverge, though, because in John Wick, where he uses violence to solve most of his problems, Rob's Nick Cage's character Rob actually uses words to either disarm or take down his villains of his story. And I know that sounds very anticlimactic or just not very theatrical, but the movie does an amazing job of capturing that emotion, and Nick Cage does an amazing job of selling that emotion that really makes it resonate with the audience. And that makes for a really interesting watch because what he's saying, you really feel like he believes it. And this change in dynamic leaves for a very interesting movie to watch, with Nick pausing at just the right moments to let the silence sink in and let you reflect on what he just said. This movie primarily focuses on dealing and handling grief, and the audience can really feel a connection to this through watching Cage's performance, since he makes it in such a gritty and dirty way that makes you feel sad, but you can't stop watching it, which is, I think, a very unique thing a movie can do. This film is also a critical notch on Nick Cage's acting belt, as it truly exhibits just how good of an actor Nick Cage can be. It showcases all how the experimental acting jobs he's chosen to take and their effects on his performance, as he's able to capture such a layered character so perfectly. It really makes you appreciate all the risks he had to do in order to achieve this level of immersive acting, because it really does feel like you're watching Rob and not Nick Cage. It also shows how Cage can play a more realistic and witty character in contrast to some of his more outlandish roles he's chosen. He's not dictating if one is better than the other, but showing he can do both. And this movie scored 97% Rotten Tomatoes, making it one of Nick Cage's most high rating movies, and showing how he can get more respect in this field. Because I really think it captures the whole movie of how he uses words to kind of fight people while still making it very theatrical, and it also shows Nick Cage's acting ability.
They're not real. You get that, right? None of it is real. The critics aren't real. The customers aren't real. Because this isn't real. You aren't real. Okay. Derek, why do you care about these people? They don't care about you. None of them. They don't even know you. Because you haven't shown them. Every day you'll wake up and there'll be less of you. You live your life for them and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself. We don't get a lot of things to really care about.
Now I'll go into how the internet had an effect on Nick Cage's career and his public image. The real start of making Nick Cage a meme happened in the 2007 movie The Wicker Man. This movie that flopped in theaters would grow into a cult classic. This is in response to Nick Cage's outlandish acting. Whether you found it good or bad, it grabbed your attention. And people started to give almost ironic praise to Nick Cage's acting ability, and memes and scenes from the movie spread like wildfire. The most famous one being the bee scene, where he's getting stung by bees and screaming in agony. Nick Cage has sort of become this icon that embodies camp down to the word, which is referring to something of bad taste and ironic value. And camp is a word that's used very often to describe Nick Cage in almost every movie. But why do we automatically assume bad acting when we think of Nick Cage? Even some of us who have never seen a Nick Cage movie outside of Treasure usually associate Nick Cage with a bad actor. This is in large thanks to how the internet works. It's heavy with opinions, and the most negative ones get the most traction. So the more negative the outlook, the more it gets spread and talked about. Nick Cage is almost like a victim of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. At the height of the internet commentary, he happened to be the loudest and one of the most interesting pop culture figures, and this resulted in his transformation into a meme. This has definitely hindered his public image, with less offers for serious roles and being almost an outcast from the mainstream Hollywood. But it doesn't seem to like Nick Cage minds that, as he would prefer being an outcast working on projects he felt passionate about rather than being a Hollywood puppet. I think that's one of the most intriguing things about Nick Cage is that it's almost as if he doesn't care what the public or the audience opinion about him, and he continues to play all these sort of roles that are kind of quirky or weird regardless of public opinion. And I think that's what makes him different than other actors.